There we go. All right, everybody. Game number 2. Well, best of 5 number 2. The second semifinal between the Bs. Two Bs determined going up against beGenius. And, well, this is, of course, going to determine which one of these two teams is going to make it to the league in 2017. HGC 2017. We're starting off on Sky Temple. It is a best of 5. I'm Carlo. With me is Tetcher. And we're going to find out together which of these two teams will participate in the league next year and won't have to try again in the second qualifier for Europe.
Indeed, straight away, starting off with some tank hatred, ETC getting banned out straight away, that huge global potential. The 2Bs determined do not want to deal with that, and beGenius, they were thinking about the Zarya. They're swapping between Zarya and Abathur. It depends whether they want the global or the protection to be taken out of the game.
Drafting against TBD must be one of the most annoying things in Heroes of the Storm.
I'm pretty sure if to draft against TBD, what you need to do is you need to just get all of the hero pictures and just throw dice onto them. And whatever a dice lands on is what they're going to pick, and then you should ban it.
I really feel there's a couple of teams that we have in the scene that are quite unpredictable when it comes to the draft, and in the end you just have to rely on your own strength and make sure that you get a good draft for yourself and just have the confidence that you are willing, that you are able to deal with everything that the opponent throws at you.
I mean, if we go through like a list of the things that they have brought out sneakily, Nova is on it for starters. Medivh's on it quite consistently. There's just not enough heroes to target ban.
Yeah. Well, and talking about like target bans, we could see a few then in the second round as well. On Sky Temple, we have a lot of globals that are oftentimes making an appearance here. But beGenius are playing that for now fairly standard. They were actually thinking a lot about banning out Zarya, or since AD already played her a lot in the previous games, in the previous series even, and also about like banning Abathur, but decided in favor of Tacita ban Falstad ban instead. So Tychus locked down so far, so good. Muradin maybe even as one of the frontliners. Yes, they go for him. Of course,
hovered over. They could have also run with Dahaka here, which we've seen a lot of teams go with, get that global in and still also grab a tank.
I mean, we've also seen quite a few plays with melee assassins on this map that would allow you to go into the Tyrael and try to just snowball it a little bit against your opponent's composition. But beGenius for now playing a little bit more traditional here, the French team picking up the Muradin. And TBD, let's see if we are going to see some shenanigans here. Let's see if there's some Dehaka play for something along those lines. Vala and Liming are also still out there that could combo with Malfurion, of course.
Yeah. Anyone who basically has spammable ranged abilities is pretty effective with that Malfurion question of which ones they would prefer. Right now, running down their bonus time pool pretty quickly, actually, trying to make their decision. Tychus can counter a lot of them if he wants to take that Neosteel plating, but that's still quite a late pick here. Is this going to be another Tracer?
Like Tracer, Illidan's, like if you go into a Tacita here, then you already know that they're having something planned. So I would not mind at all. The Tacita being hovered over. We've seen TBD with so many aggressive comps in the past. I mean, they're one of the teams that played a little ton of Carrigan with double support, but it is that Tracer, Tacita combo, and beGenius is, they are well aware of what that means right now. This is one of the trademark builds for TBD, and one of the many. And beGenius now, they are going to have a pretty tough match ahead of them. They ban out Zarya. They've seen earlier what all that support can do in the games that, of course, the Misfits played.
Yeah, that could be pretty rough. You want to remove that. Tracer is the target, but if you can remove her sustain, she does actually still take, like we said, a little bit to get through, get all of her damage off her melee, and her grenades do offer the pulse bomb do offer a lot of burst, but if you could dodge them out or at least just deny her sustain, you can really burst her down pretty efficiently.
Zeratul currently being thought over to ban out first for TBD. Don't really want to risk anything here. I mean, beGenius, of course, played earlier too, so TBD could have probably did their homework during the short break that they had while we had the first semifinal. And there's a Zeratul ban now. So, yeah, the French team, they're not going to have an easy time here. We know that already, but they still have a lot of potential here for very annoying drafts now too. Tychus is a good damage dealer already as is. We still have the potential for them to go into a Vala. They can add a Brightwing if they want to have a bit of global presence, which would work against Tracer as well. So, Brightwing probably going to be the healer here for them.
Yep, I'd say so. Giving that polymorph is a very solid counter and still gets some good sustain. And the global, if you teleport onto someone like Thrall, is going to give some good sustain for him. Zool being hovered over here, going to make them very melee heavy. Tigers would be their only ranged character beside their support.
Zul definitely puts him into a really melee-heavy setup here, and he's probably going to be trying to rotate during the first temple phase. At this point, Thrall will most likely start at least as a solo laner here. But now we have a bit of wave clear that TBD thinks about with beGenius, and he himself, of course, has also the global presence that you would need with this. beGenius is still very likely to pick up the Brightwing as their last pick for the heals, especially with this setup that they're running here right now. But for TBD, it's mostly about the front line at this point, and beGenius would more or less force them to also pick a second melee character here, which they are very likely to do either way.
Yeah, this is true, because you do want something to be in the front line. Tracer is basically in the back line, so you want something to be, in the enemy back line, so you preferably want something holding their front line back, so that Tracer can actually get the work done. beGenius is locked in, and then left in for tanks. There's still plenty of options. Stitches, Johanna still being left available. You could even go forward to Stitches Malfurion combo and just hope that beGenius and Tracer can kill them off quick enough, but I think Johanna's probably a little bit more likely, especially seeing as you have Tychus, Thrall, and Zul all with auto-attack damage, which the Johanna can blind.
I'm really curious to see what the last pick here is going to be.
Alright,
okay,
alright, also good, more burst.
Blade is in need of his hero still, and is looking at an Alarak right now. Not quite what I necessarily expected here, but hell yeah, why not?
It works.
Yeah, and he has a lot of melee heroes against him, so as long as he gets the combo in well, he can do a lot of pre-work to set that up for the rest of the team. beGenius, I expected a Brightwing insta-lock here, but they apparently are thinking about alternatives.
Yeah, who would be the alternative here? Rhaegar for the burst healing could work out. It does offer Brightwing, and Rhaegar would offer Cleanse. I think I prefer Brightwing here, but Rhaegar can work. It's just a bit more healing. It's Rhaegar.
They go for the Rhaegar, okay. Could be a bit of a comfort pick here, but still. I really expected the Brightwing to come out for the Polymorph alone already, but the Rhaegar, of course, if Alarak gets the combo off and Rhaegar is not hit by it, can still use the Ancestral to just, like, save the target for now. So yeah, first draft is over, guys. Sky Temple is the map. TBD going up against beGenius. It's semi-final number 2. Misfits already qualified for the league. Fnatic and also Dignitas are, of course, also qualified since they made it to BlizzCon, which means we have 3 teams already locked in for 2017. We're going to determine a 4th team right now, and let's find out together on Sky Temple which one of the 2 is going to take the lead in this best of 5. All right, so there we go. That's an interesting setup.
It is. I still
we were
think I would
promised
have preferred
crazy, so
Brightwing, but I do see the logic behind the Rhaegar.
So, all right, the game is about to start. We have everybody in the lobby. I think everybody's ready as well. Yep, there's the countdown. Cool. Second semi-final. Either the French team, beGenius, is going to make it into the league, or the Bees. 2 Bees determined. And yeah, Sky is our first map.
I'm excited.
I like this
Global
portrait a lot, by the way.
Oh, the new one?
Yeah. It's pretty
it's
sick.
great. Great, I saw you were running it as well.
I have to, at least for now. Alrighty, so game 1, guys. Let's get this thing started. Let's see which one is going to take the lead here. Opening map in the best of 5 series. It's also our last series for the day here.
Indeed, we're not doing the finals. This is just to qualify.
Game number 1, everybody. Damascus against 2 Bees is not quite the game that we are looking here right now, so my apologies. I'm going to fix that in a second. We are, of course, looking at the match between beGenius versus the 2 Bees. And, well, with that being said, to the left side, it is the French team. They're starting here in blue. We have Tank for the win on Thrall in our first map on Sky Temple. Unstable is playing Rhaegar. We're seeing Danatan on Muradin currently. Arcane on Zul and Kira on Tychus. And to the right side of the map, the determined Bees with ADRD on Tacita, Blade on Alarak, Nick on Tracer, Bad Benny on beGenius, and Curson is playing Malfurion. Playing the Tracer combo here. And I'm, of course, once again with Thatcher to bring you the coverage here at the semi-final for the HGC 2017 qualifier number 1.
And starting off with some of the picks here, we are seeing the Wolf Run on Rhaegar. Very common at the moment due to the mount speed change on all heroes, basically. You still want Rhaegar to be able to keep up and rotate around these bigger maps with his allies as best as you can. Zul with the backlash so that he can try and get some burst onto anyone they can lock down, including the Dahaka. You really want to try and just lock someone down and kill them off as quick as possible, when Tracer is just going to be whittling you down the longer the fight goes on.
It's actually kind of interesting to see that trap down here. I like how Benny is playing is really passive. Right now, the Bees know that 2 heroes are missing on the map, and they are very wary about where they are going to appear. So Bad Benny actually just playing super passive towards the right side, up to the point where they finally know what's happening. And that really worked in his favor, because we had the French team setting up that slide trap where they are attempting to make sure that they get an early kill here. Very quick pause where apparently Kiewa is having to resolve a couple of lag issues, but we can at least already talk about a few of the talents. So Tetra, you mentioned of course that we have Wolf Run for Rhaegar here, but we also have again the perfect storm for Muradin here for the stacking process.
Yeah, he wants to try and raise up that damage outputs by just hitting heroes over and over again so that he can follow up on the burst. We already mentioned the backlash. It's for the exact same reason, so they can just lock down individual heroes and try and kill them off before they can get the kind of sustain that they need from the Malfurion healing over time, and so they have enough energy hopefully to burst through that Tastar shield.
Also the top lane is where we are currently seeing. So, Modestate is a solo laner, the two melee assassins facing each other. Oftentimes that happens at the bot lane here, so they're already breaking with that slightly. The mid lane, we have currently Try set up. Danatan as a tank should actually be able to have this pretty safely, but he won't be able to really get any kind of wave clear in. That's one of the reasons why they also drafted, of course, Zul, who's now going to try and be part of the rotation. Overall, Zul is a great solo laner as well, since he can burst any wave away in seconds, but his real value is only gotten when you allow him to roam between lanes and just like clear 2 waves. So that's also going to help once that they're heading into the first temple phase. Another thing to really watch out for if they decide to go with 5 heroes for the temples, or if you are going to see Arcane trying to get the experience from 2 lanes and therefore a slight lead in levels for his team.
Yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on, and also just what kind of build he does go into, whether he's going to be focusing more on those skeletons with maybe the extra lockdown from Jailers, or whether he may go into a Q-based build that we are seeing every now and again, which is still quite nice against Malfurion, just to the fact it's healing over time, so you're more likely to deny some of the healing at level 20.
Applied Force on level 1 taken for Alarak, and in the mid lane we're currently looking at still 3 heroes trying to first of all clear the wave and see if they can already apply some damage to the opponent. Danatan on the temple for now, up to the top. Thrall is taking over the shots, but here in the mid lane it's so far the Bees who are dominating temple number 2.
Yeah, Nick continuing to be very annoying. Nice engaged by Bad Benny onto Araken, forcing a lot of damage onto him, but they come out fairly even while the fights continue to happen. Both teams just trading temples at the moment. Nick trying to harass, but takes a little bit of damage from Kira for his trouble.
Yeah, Danatan so far not having a stack on his Storm Bolt. It missed the last one, and Arcane is actually doing what we've been talking about. He's trying to get that rotation going between the mid and top, and that is something that the Bees of course know. They are trying to shut that down as much as they can, while we are having still Kirsten on the temple in the middle, getting all of the shots fired in, and a little bit more of additional pressure over here as Dehaka is joining the rest. He was clearing the bot lane so far, and a slight lead also in experience now as a thank you for the 2 Bees.
Yeah, and you mentioned people trying to deny the rotations of Zul. Dahaka has actually just been sitting in the jungle every now and again. Every time he loses sight of Zul, he sort of moves over to the enemy easy camp to try and catch him as he rotates and gets some extra damage. Going to be a bit more difficult now, thanks to the level 4s of both teams, and thanks to the temples being stopped, so there's more heroes on the map for Dahaka to be careful of. And Zul, he did take those Jailers, so he's going to be able to drop even more damage onto Bad Benny if Bad Benny's gank attempts do not succeed.
Right now, we definitely see the Bees a little bit more like they are more mobile on the map. They're actually moving around quite a bit, trying to see if they can set a gank up for someone. But also the French team, after they took down the Siege Giants, starting to go for that bot lane again. AD, RD, and Kirsten are over there. Root could be placed down, but Kirsten actually just moved to the side. Shielding also now a few of those Siege Giants, trying to get that pressure on. We've been talking in previous games already about the importance to break through the wall and make a play for the fountain if you want to completely dominate the second temple phase. So we might actually see that happening now as 3 heroes are still focused on the bot lane against the French team.
Yeah, they're trying to put the pressure on here. Z-Guys being kept alive. Malfurion even dropping some healing onto them. They root Kira, who takes some damage. Unstable, already a little bit lower mana, so he needs to be a bit careful with that. But with downside coming down, they're finally able to make a play onto the Siege Giants, but not before their gate and one of the towers is gone.
Yeah, they had to go for a big rotation here, and we have in the meantime also Bad Benny starting to go straight for those night camps, since he of course wants to have them pushing while the second temple is being activated. Curson is helping out with that too, but they are a little bit slow on that, so like there's another 10 seconds in which they have to make that play. AD already helps with a quick shield, but also beGenius to the left side is doing the exact same thing. They will have to send Unstable back, he's rather low on mana, that won't help him for potential fight at the bot lane. The temple is active, and in this case, Danatan is able to take the first shots for his team.
Yeah, but with Nick turning up, he's going to be able to harass that down, forcing Danatan to be the one to take the Guardian's damage for the moment. He's able to grab a bit of control, but a bit of an engage onto the Bad Benny up in the top lane, using that damage Zul gets from his bone press thanks to his level 1 talent, the backlash, but they were unable to guarantee the kill thanks to the burrow.
That was a pretty big commitment that they actually had there. They committed quite a lot of heroes, and now they are losing out on the top lane and down here as well on that temple. Since Danatan is the only one who has to face Curson and Nick, the pressure play up at the top lane should be stopped by AD, Bad Benny and Blade. There's 4 heroes against them, but with those AoEs that they have, and nice combos on the side of Blade, they should be able to save a lot here. The temple is eventually going to fall, but as long as they can't pressure in more than that, it should be fine.
Yeah, and however, the more people who are here, if Blade can get in a little bit closer, he's actually currently stacking his Endless Energy. He did not pick the Chaos Reign at level 7, instead taking the reduced cooldown on his Q for every time he hits a hero with the center part of it. Basically, instead of the target you're aiming at, the one is in between him and the person he's aiming at. And that basically allows him to spam it out a bit more and get a little bit more healing and a little bit more sustain in the fights. So hopefully, Tassadar and Malfurion can put their focus onto keeping Tracer alive.
Thanks to the 2 forts taken out and ADRD's team taking a few of the earlier walls, they have now a structural advantage. It's nothing really too crazy, but it's definitely there. They have the early level 10 just by a few seconds, but both of the teams have now the potential to go into these team fights with their rogue abilities. Ah, Earthquake being dropped here now, the wall not catching Thrall. But this is a bit of a trademark play that we've seen from beGenius so far, that they love to play with these Thrall combos and with the Earthquakes, especially excellent Alexion, who they met in the last round, knows all about that. So this is something to watch out for, to see what Thrall can actually do in these team fights.
Indeed, if he can drop it in a good position, then there will be struggling. Tracer does have Blink, which obviously is not affected, but her movement speed when her Blink cooldowns are gone is going to be severely reduced. There is one hero who's actually going to damage onto Muradin there with the Force. Will try and cut off his escape, but Tracer's in the wrong position to try and focus him down there. Dahak, on the other hand, getting focused. He's already used his burrow. He's cleared the body block by the Skeletal Mages here. Bad Benny is taken down. Danatan just escaping.
Barely getting out of there, just barely jumping out of the fight, but the kill of course against Dahaka, that was a big one. We saw that silence come down, but they couldn't really follow it up with another kill. Now we have the first kill in the game in favor of the blue team. beGenius doing well here, but the temples are about to activate again, so they need to make sure that they take the position. In another second, Dahaka is going to be back, and he has that global presence that he can use to join the fight over the temple right away.
Yeah, Arcane just surviving. He was able to dodge the parting gift as well. Now it is Tassadar getting focused, having to drop his dimensional shift. It's not a prescient one, it is a regular one. As such, he's taking a lot of damage. He survives though. Nick being a good distraction there. He nearly dies as well, but he is kept alive via the Tassadar shield. So everyone's keeping themselves sustained here. Dahaka stealing shots from bot lane, so it is a 4 versus 5 right now in the mid lane in favor of To Be Determined.
But with Tracer not dying, it was a massive commitment of cooldowns that didn't get them anything here. And that's the problem right now. So there's still a little bit of potential for plays, especially since Dahaka can in just a few seconds go straight to the middle again and try to help him out here. Thrall not having access to Earthquake is a big issue. Of course, the cooldown is rather short and we'll have it back in 20 seconds. But there's definitely options for the Beast to see if they can pick someone off here. In the end, they have to just simply let it go for now, but they are starting to move to the top where currently... yeah, okay, Rhaegar is moving back already. He realizes that him clearing the wave there is going to be a little bit risky if the rest of the team is suddenly disappearing from the map.
Yeah, with 2B's determined, putting pressure on multiple lanes of the map, but now rotating up to the top lane to try and put pressure on. The healing ward, healing totem dropped over the wall by Unstable to scout that out to make sure that they're not ganked. Very clever play there. Nick gonna eat a Storm Bolt for his trouble in terms of harassment here. And beGenius in a good position to defend. They are going to struggle a little bit just thanks to the incredible siege potential of 2B's determined here, but they should be able to hold it.
Yeah, overall, still the structural advantage really coming through. Now, keep in mind, if you haven't actually followed the last patch and haven't seen too many games yet, you might be a bit surprised about the choice of Earthquake here, but it's currently becoming the standard talent for Thrall and bringing him back into the meta quite heavily, since now you also get the additional stacks on the Frostwolf Resilience and have that damage output there. So a lot of Earthquake plays happening over the last 2 days. Up into the top now with both teams reaching level 13 talents. We're having another team fight about to start as Tank goes in. Could drop the Earthquake again and does so. Escapes here as we're seeing still the Counter-Strike happening on the side of Blade. He gets the combo off against both of those heroes, against Tigers as well. But the heal comes through and a potential kill against Bad Benny as we again see another kill on the side of Team BC.
Yeah, Bad Benny really struggling here. He's basically getting engaged for the burrowing. Good silence there by Blade, but he's immediately turned on. Getting focused down, and he's picked off an incredible route by Curson with 0 follow-up because their damage is all dead except for Nick, who cannot, despite being Tracer, fight against 5 players alone.
And talking Tracer, Ricochet was picked up now on 13 by Tracer, so Nick is definitely deviating a little bit, but we are seeing really good plays now on the side of beGenius. They were behind in structures, which on this map can always cause a problem, but thanks to that fight up at the top where they were able to kill 2 heroes and push through, they're now starting to take an advantage. Not only in experience, but they also have the opportunity to make plays for the bottom temple and then get ahead in structures.
Yeah, I'm very much liking this pick of Ricochet here, because Tracer, she can't really go in like she would normally like to, getting in, getting that AoE melee off with the bullet spray that she would normally would. But in this case, she's really just getting focused down by the incredible amount of melee and lockdown that beGenius has. So instead, just taking that Ricochet allows her to stay a little bit of extra rage out and get a lot more harassment blade. Dueling with Danatad here, somehow not aggroing the boss that lightning, just skimmed the outside of it, so it does not get aggroed. But shots being taken right now by 2B's determined.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, beGenius just says like, hey, you can have the temple, we don't really care about that. We're going to push the top lane instead and steal your camp away from you. Question still is if it's really worth it for them. They had an opportunity to go for the bottom temple, they decided against it, and now they're eating a lot of damage at that bot lane where the wall is already about to fall, and there's still a siege giant camp that is pushing this in. So it opens up potential plays for ADRD and his boys as they're clearing the camp up at the top, have now Dehaka moving top, healing back up, and everybody else is just rotating as 5 on the map now on the side of the French team. But experience is so close still.
Yeah, beGenius just soaking up for them and grabbing the easy camp. They could have, if they were greedy, they might have at least started boss while scouting, which is why we immediately saw 2B's determined rotating down so quickly to make sure that they could scout the boss and make sure it wasn't being stolen.
Hindered motion taken again, by the way, in this game now. Big focus with the talents and telekinesis. And we're also seeing now the extra roots on 16 as they're trying to lock a target down so they can finally blast it away. Both of the teams now on 16 talents. And Thrall going for that trademark Giant Killer with the Tempest Fury to get the triple strike with Giant Killer in. Given the axe taken for Muradin, by the way, so he is aiming for some more damage. And they are trying to just lock that damage down on Alarak again. But this time, Blade is able to escape.
Yeah, another talent here that's quite important to talk about, ADRD. He does have Prescience here, so he is able to escape and get back to Curse and gets rooted. Prescience not activated yet. That was a normal dimensional shift a little bit earlier. But Nick, he took Locked and Loaded here, so he's actually outputting a lot more damage. It's the most damage you can get on that level 16. It just requires a little bit more micro. And Tracer here, Nick feeling that he can keep up with it, and this will synergize correctly with the Ricochet that he took on level 13.
With a fort on the map, we still have that structural advantage going strong for the Bees. The 2Bs determined have that extra fort on the map that's going to help with the objective. But right now, when it comes to the kill count, they were still not able to put a single kill on the board. and they of course need to work on that. So all the damage that they can accumulate right now is going to be important for them. They're going for Danatani again, especially Nick is of course seeing if he can maybe put some extra free damage in before they go for the temples. But this is going to be a really crucial moment in the game with both temples on the map now. Who is going to start that team fight? And we could also of course see after a team fight, boss about to be taken.
Nick getting focused down. He's able to dash up, so he doesn't have to use his rewind yet. Continuing to harass from range with that extra damage he got from Nocta Loaded and Ricochet. Trying to poke down anyone he can at the moment. Etiardi, though, has already been damaged. Drops a Dimensional Shift very early to get his health back. But that also means the cooldown will be back a little bit earlier. He eats a lot of damage for his trouble.
Combo on Danatan. Now he jumps back. There's a top camp, though, pushing through the top lane. That Night Camp could eventually get a lot of damage done against the top keep here. So TBD needs to be careful. They're trying to go for Thrall, who drops the Earthquake. Nice E on Nick, gets the kill against Thrall. That was a big one. First one for the team. We are seeing immediately an Ancestral and Tychus was attacked. He dropped his own drill, but this is still enough to keep Kirsten alive here with the heals that he has. And this could be a massive fight against beGenius. They're losing Zul now to everybody's solo, and Tracer is trying to clean up.
Yeah, Nick is just chasing, and Nick is shredding, getting almost all of the lock and load activations. Going up to Dallas, and he has the extra damage on his grenade. Not able to get the kill. He thought about diving deep there, has changed his mind, but his team is now going to guarantee a keep here, and they looks like they may want to move even further.
Going for Core would definitely be a risk here. There's 10 seconds until Thrall is back. Not sure if they can really get the damage in so fast, especially since we have Zoom coming back too, but they're trying. They're going for it. They're trying to get the kill against the Core. Maybe overstepping a little bit since Thrall is coming out already. The top lane is pushing in the meantime as well. Margin is trying to see if he can maybe get a kill in there, but the Core is dropping in hit points. 5 seconds until we have the next hero back. Earthquake is back to business. Thrall could use it against one target. Not sure about that. They're aiming for... They get the kill against the Haka, but it should not be enough. This is a game, and TBD takes game number 1 against beGenius.